So you're currently thinking about which island to visit in Mexico. Well, the great news is for you, not only have I recently travelled to both these islands, I've also spent the last couple of weeks making this in-depth video for you to decide which island is best for you. Like I said, this is a comparison video, so we're going to be comparing and scoring the islands against each other on what I believe are major factors. Now, as we know, these are two islands that we're talking about here, so you must ferry to both, and each has their own individual ferry port. There are actually two ports for Isla Mujeres, and both are located in Cancun. And if you don't know much about Cancun, then it's probably the place that you're going to be flying into when actually traveling to Mexico in the first place. Therefore, getting to either of the two ports is really straightforward. You can take a taxi from Cancun town, or if you're in the hotel zone, there's one right by there too, so you can literally just maybe even walk there if it's super close by to your hotel. Once you arrive at the port, you can then purchase a return ticket to and from the island. It costs about 380 peso. Now, if you're heading to Holbox, their port is actually located in a town called Chiquila. And I gotta be honest here, it's much more off the beaten path. The best way to get there is to hop on a local colectivo, which is basically a small local bus. Now, when we went from Playa del Carmen, and the cost was 250 peso per person for one way. So you have to also get that back too. Then the actual ferry price to Holbox from Chiquila is 220 peso. You can only get it one way, there's no discounts for return. So it's 440 peso to actually get there and then back again. So far, Isla Mujeres is the better option. It's more easily accessible in my opinion. Obviously, if you live in Chiquila, then you'll disagree with this, but for the 99% of travellers, it's going to be much more accessible and easier to get to, and more cost effective too. Now, from what I can recall, both of the ferry crossings, time-wise anyway, were very similar. I think like 25 to 30 minutes, and then once you get there, actually you will have a very different experience straight away, straight off the bat. And the first thing you will notice in Holbox when you arrive is that there's no cars, like zero, none, not one single car. Well, there is some that deliver food, but for the most part there's no cars. So it's not even real roads. But if you're looking for transport as soon as you arrive to get to the place that you're staying, your Airbnb or your hotel or whatever, you can get a taxi from literally straight off the ferry port. I say a taxi, it's literally a golf cart that's painted yellow. But Isla Mujeres is completely different. It's more normal. There's buses on the island, 3 in total. I think they just do laps around the place all day. There's cars from the locals, and I think you can even take your rental car as well if you have one, and there's taxis. And for the most part, Isla Mujeres is extremely busy, especially if you arrive around midday. You'll see like just loads of golf carts whizzing around that island too. Now, I'll be honest, this round, the transport round, is actually incredibly difficult to score because Isla Mujeres, without a doubt, has the better transport between the two. You don't really necessarily need transport in Holbox. And I feel like the whole non-transport thing adds a sort of charm to the island of Holbox that you would probably not find in many other places in the world, if I'm honest, and I sort of like that. So for that reason, we're just going to tie this round and move on to the next one. Now, if you're anything like me and you've been lugging your baggage around all day, you've finally made it to your island, you're probably quite hungry at this stage. So let's start talking about food. And both these islands, believe it or not, actually offer very similar choices when it comes to restaurants and food in general. Just like in all of Mexico, there's tons of options to get street food, and it's here where you'll find some amazing local dishes at unbelievable prices too. Now, if I had to say one island in particular is better for food, then I would honestly go with Isla Mujeres. It just edges it for me simply because it's slightly bigger. Now, I don't mean the island's bigger. Basically what I'm saying is that there's just more restaurants to pick from. And there's also a market on Isla Mujeres too that you can just stroll down. It like sells fresh juices. It sells all sorts, to be honest, but the main thing I went for was like fresh juices and fresh fruit. That helps Isla Mujeres edge the food thing over Holbox. Alright, so now you've decided on where to eat and you've had some food, now it's time, hopefully you still have time to see the sunset. And they say that no two sunsets are ever the same, so this one's almost going to be impossible to call, but if I had to choose one place in particular, it would be Holbox. The vibe on this island for sunset is truly remarkable. The whole island comes together to watch and enjoy the sunset every single night. That being said though, both places, both islands do have truly unbelievable sunsets, and it's actually something that you won't see on this east coast of Mexico. If you're staying in like Cancun, Tulum, Playa del Carmen, you won't see sunsets because this is all on the east coast. When you go to the islands, it's actually quite a sort of surprising thing to see, I guess, because especially if you've been staying on this east coast for a while, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about the sun sets. The sun has now set on both islands, and it's at this point you will see a very different experience between the two islands. Let's start by saying that when on Isla Mujeres, it's only really at night time when you feel like you're on an island. And that's because tourists come in their thousands in day trips from the mainland to enjoy a slice of paradise for literally just one day, and then they will get the ferry back to the mainland before it gets dark. So when the sun goes down on Isla Mujeres, it's just you, the locals, and whoever else has decided to stay on the island that night. And the main thing to do at night on the island is to go do some shopping, maybe some food, drink, go to a nice bar, or even go hit up one of the cool beach clubs. There's usually some like DJs playing there with live music. It's a sort of cool vibe. Now, when you're in Holbox, you will have the chance to have a truly once-in-a-lifetime experience. You can make your way to the western point of the island and try to see some bioluminescence. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail here. It's basically glow-in-the-dark algae that you can like kick around, and it sort of like lights up the water. I can't explain it, you've just got to go and see it for yourself. And then just like sunset, the whole island of Holbox literally comes together every single night, and they all go to the hot corner, which is like it's like a couple of bars together, and there's one that plays music and people just dance around in the streets. The tourists are there, the locals are there, people are doing salsa. And failing that, if dancing and drinking isn't really your thing, there's always loads of sports going on. They have like a main square where there's like a basketball court, they set up volleyball, you can even play football. Now the locals do have like scheduled times in which they play each sport. By the way, they play each sport every single night, but they're more than happy for anyone to join. Now overall, both of these islands are amazing places to be at night time. It gives you a sort of sense of escapism that I've never really felt before, but if I had to choose one over the other, it would just about be Holbox. So 2-2. Now it's the next day and sun is rising once again, and on Isla Mujeres you can see the sun rising before anyone else in Mexico. Because you're on like the eastern coast, you're further east than anyone else in Mexico. I think you see it like half an hour before anyone else, and it's a really cool experience, and for me probably my best morning in Mexico so far since being here. Now during the day there's obviously a lot to do on both islands, so we're going to start off with the beaches. Now there's a few beach areas on Isla Mujeres, but the main one is called Playa Norte, and it's located on the northern point of the island. It's actually regarded as one of the best beaches in all of Mexico, which is some statement. And then in Holbox, that too has a few different beach areas, and the main one there is called Punta Coco. But they also have like a really cool strip of sort of sand dunes almost. It's like little mini islands just off the coast. It's honestly like probably 50 meters plus out of the coastline. You're like up to your knees, maybe even up to your waist at times until you get there, and then you can literally walk across sandbanks for like nearly a mile, and they're all spaced out probably like 20 meters in between each other, so you have to like walk through the water, and then you get to another sand dune, then you walk through more water, get to it's amazing. And then the further you walk, the more remote it becomes, the less people there are, the more you feel like you're truly on like a deserted island. And honestly, I think I had one of my best days traveling when exploring that part of Holbox. Now just a word of warning, and this is from experience, do not get stuck up there when it gets dark. I walked back there as dusk was descending on the island, and it was so scary. All the stingrays came out. I saw like 20 stingrays. One swam over my foot at one point. It is frightening. So if you do go up there, make sure you return home at a good time. Make sure. But anyway, if I had to choose between the two islands on which one has the better beaches, I think I'm going to go for Holbox here, simply because it's just less crowded. It's more remote. You can find a spot on the beach with literally no one else around. Now, as far as other things to do on the island without paying for like a tour or a day trip away from the island, they're pretty similar in terms that the thing to do is to rent a golf cart and then just explore the island on your own terms. We did this on Isla Mujeres. It was great fun. We didn't do it on Holbox because we did it on Isla Mujeres, but Holbox is the bigger island of the two, but most of it is inaccessible. You can only explore certain parts of that island, which then in turn makes it a smaller island than Isla Mujeres, if that makes sense. And for this reason, there's more things actually to do during the day in Isla Mujeres, which makes the score 3-3. And when it comes to day trips and tours, both islands actually offer quite different things, and this just comes down to what each island actually offers in terms of what's there. Like for example, you can kayak on both islands, but in Holbox you can kayak through mangroves and potentially see crocodiles, and then you can even kayak at night through the bioluminescence, where Isla Mujeres you're just kayaking in the sea. So although you're kayaking, it's two completely different experiences. And then the two islands offer stuff like swimming with whale sharks, depending on the time of year, snorkeling, but then Isla Mujeres, you can snorkel and there's like an underwater museum there, which Holbox can't offer. So it's like you can do very similar things, but both offer a slightly different experience. And for that reason, I can't pick between one or the other here. It's just up to you what you would prefer. I just know for sure that no matter what day trip you did do from either of the islands, I'm sure you would have a great time. One thing though I do think that separates Isla Mujeres from Holbox is the beach clubs. Now, they both have beach clubs that are accessible to the public. You don't have to be staying in the hotel that has a beach club. You can literally just go in and buy some drinks and buy some food or whatever. But for me, Isla Mujeres, and I'm not usually into this sort of thing, but it was just more bougier. Does that make sense? It was more Americanized. There was more things to do. There was a few beach clubs that you could literally go there, and you know, they had like rope swings, and it was a little bit more fun. There was more stuff, there was more activities to sort of do over Holbox, where it was just more maybe a little bit more, a little bit less developed. That being said though, these are islands that we're talking about here, and I actually really like the fact that Holbox was less developed, so for that reason, Holbox gets a point too, 4-4. Now this is something that I am reluctant to talk about, but I also feel that I really need to talk about too, because it sort of ruined my experience of Holbox, if I'm honest. And before you say, well, you're going to an island, what do you expect? I know. And I'm honestly disappointed in myself for relying on Wi-Fi as much as I do, but I still have to address it in this video. The Wi-Fi in Holbox, the internet in general, is truly dreadful. It's so bad. So if you need Wi-Fi to work, if you rely on Wi-Fi, do not expect that you're going to be able to achieve the things that you should be doing when you get to Holbox. Just forget about it. For example, I don't usually make these type of videos, I usually make daily vlogs, and when I was in Holbox I was trying to upload the vlog, and I was sat in a cafe every single day for 6 hours just waiting on it uploading, not even editing. 6 hours. The internet, the Wi-Fi on Isla Mujeres it's okay, it's good in places, but for that reason, because it's so far ahead of Holbox, we're going to give it 3 points, just because it's such a difference. So 7-4. But again, these are islands, and there was so many people that I met on Holbox who were literally there on that island to escape, to switch off, to just get away from the social media, from the internet, from all of these type of things. So I guess for that reason, because it forces you to get away, we have to give it a point, so we'll make it 7-5. Now if you've not been to Mexico, the people are amazing. They're so kind, friendly, giving, helpful. They're amazing, amazing people. But you will notice a difference in the locals between the two islands. For example, on Holbox, because it's less touristy, they're more laid back, they're more friendly, they're more chilled. This means that unlike when you're on Isla Mujeres, you won't be getting hollered at all the time to come into a shop and buy things. I'll be honest, after spending a while in Mexico, you sort of get used to it, but at the start it can be quite intense at times. You won't get that experience in Holbox. You can literally walk around freely, no one's going to bother you, everyone's really chilled, and it's a very different feel to Isla Mujeres, I'll be honest. And so for that reason, that's a solid win here for Holbox, 7-6. Now if wildlife is your thing, then we've got to talk about it here. Whale sharks, turtles, stingrays, tropical fish, pelicans, but in Holbox there are flamingos. Well, for a lot of the year. I wasn't lucky enough to see one, but if you get lucky, then you're going to witness something that's you're probably not going to be able to see in many other places in the world. Like I said before, Holbox is like protected, it's like an animal sanctuary, so you're going to see probably a lot of animals, a lot of rare wildlife, if again that's your thing. So it's 7-7, I've got no other major scoring to give you, therefore what was the point of this video? Well, the point is that it's a personal choice. If you're into wildlife and experiencing things that you might never see again in your lifetime, then the laid-back, carless island of Holbox might be the one for you. But if you're looking for a bit more of a hybrid feel, one minute you can escape and find a quiet spot all on your own, and then the next thing you're back to a little bit more normality. Maybe you're looking for a slightly longer stay without maybe boredom setting in, or even you might need some decent Wi-Fi, then Isla Mujeres is probably going to be your best bet. Now again, I know I scored each island as a draw, but I honestly hope that you got something good from this video. I hope it helped you maybe think about what you want from your island getaway. And if you're still undecided and you have the time, then I strongly recommend you go to both places. You won't regret it. Anyway, that's it for this video. I usually make daily vlogs, and I've been daily vlogging every day since the start of 2021 this year. So if you want to go back and watch the vlogs and actually see how just life is on each of the islands that I've just described, then it's all on my channel. And if you want a little escape every day, then I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Much love.